Welcome to Discovering Africa Through Technology, the podcast series that showcases the brilliance of Africa's great minds, innovators, and experts as they tackle complex challenges with homegrown solutions driven by knowledge, technology, and innovation. Our podcast is inspired by the African Union Agenda 2063 Aspiration 7, which seeks to rebrand Africa and change negative narratives and perspectives through science, technology, and innovation. We believe that Africa has the power to solve its own development challenges and become a strong, united, resilient, peaceful, and influential global player and partner. Join us as we explore the transformative potential of technology in Africa with your host, Razia Kulatain Mwanga, and learn from the experts driving change on the African continent.
Today's program, we shall be looking at education sector and innovation solutions that have been created to solve the sustainable goal number 4 on provision of equitable, inclusive, quality education and promoting long life learning opportunities for all. Today in the program, we are privileged to have Salvatory Kessy, who is a Tanzanian actuary scientist. He's also an entrepreneur and educator. And is the founder and chief executive officer of Silabu, an education tech company that aims to reduce the cost of learning and address the shortage of best teachers in Africa. He has a master's degree in actual science with a distinction from the University of Southampton, United Kingdom. He graduated as best student with a first-class degree in actuarial science from the University of Dar es Salaam. Salvatory is passionate about education and dedicated to improving access to quality learning for African students. Salvatory began his teaching career at the age of 16 and has since helped thousands of students pass their national exams. And incidentally, he's also a university lecturer. So, Salvatory, welcome to the program.
Thanks a lot, Razia, for inviting me to speak to you today.
Thank you very much. So to start us off, tell us where did you come up with this innovation and what inspired you to create Silabu?
Okay, so Silabu started 3 years ago, and this was motivated by 2 reasons. First is my experience as a lecturer at University of Dar es Salaam, as well as my personal experience while teaching tuitions after I graduated from high school. So when I was teaching at the University of Dar es Salaam, a couple of parents will reach me to suggest for them the best teachers who can help the kids to solve their challenges in maths and science. And as I was getting a handful of requests, then I thought of why don't I build a platform where all the parents in Tanzania could be able to go and get the best teachers to help their kids in a few seconds. And then I had to contact my friends who we studied together in high school, and he was doing computer science. And then I spoke to him about this idea about building a platform where parents and teachers, they can easily be connected. And then we started working on this. And along the way, one of the students who I taught tuition in high school, he also joined our team as a marketing person. And then we launched our platform in 2019, and it was just very simple website where students and parents could just connect. Students and tutor will easily be connected and learn different subjects.
Wow, that's interesting. From having problems in education, so you wanted to solve that problem of getting proper tuition and making sure that people have access to what you did not have. Wow, that's interesting. Let's talk about, I know you said your solution solves education. So can you tell us exactly what are the pillars and what exactly does Silabu do?
Okay, well, so we started off as a very small platform, 2019, and the idea in 2019 was very simple. And again, as I mentioned, this idea was inspired by my own experience of teaching tuition as well as my experience as a lecturer at University of Dar es Salaam, where a couple of parents were asking for like best teachers who could help the kids who were struggling with subjects like math and science. And so the idea was very simple, which was just to build a platform which connects students and tutors. And this platform was successfully because we managed to help a couple of students to be able to get the best teachers, but at the same time help these teachers to be able to generate some additional cash flow by teaching students at their own extra time. And along the way, we were like looking at the data of how students and teachers were interacting through the platform, and we kind of like be able to identify some patterns. For example, we could see some students were trying to reach other students instead of reaching tutors, and from there we kind of like do a quick survey to look at why are students chatting with other students and not at some point to the teachers. And what we realized was some students wanted to be able to even discuss with other students before they talk to teachers or before they ask for help from teachers. And from there, we kind of like redeveloped our platform to not only include one-to-one tutoring, but also to include a peer-to-peer, which was like students learn from each other before they ask for help from teachers. And along the way as well, we realized again, like the cost of learning was still very high for like students from low income families. And therefore we kind of like thought of how can we reduce the cost of learning so that students from any economic background could still get access to quality education. And that's when we introduced our group tutoring, whereby students come together and hire a single tutor, and this automatically reduce the cost of learning. And so far we have been able to see like these two line of business that we introduced, P2P as well as group tutoring, has increased the number of students who are able to access quality education.
Thank you, Salvatore. Your motto is creating the next billion curious minds in Africa. Apart from providing peer-to-peer learning groups and attending live group sessions, which you said that they are at a reduced cost, can you tell us how does that work? Like how much, relatively, what's the cost of being tutored alone and the prices that you are offering, which you say are quite less compared to what other people are providing?
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So as I say, like our goal or bigger picture is to make sure that the cost of learning goes down as much as we can. And with peer-to-peer, it's purely free. And the way this peer-to-peer works is you will imagine like students from, let's say, private schools where they have almost all the resources. They will join into a class with the students from, let's say, a school with less resources, and they will be able to share things like materials. They will discuss questions, and they will be able to transfer knowledge and skills to each other. And through this peer-to-peer, the best educational practice like spread quickly from like the best schools to less funded schools, and this kind of like help students from like low or less funded schools to be able to get pretty much the same type of education that kids from private schools do get. And on the other side, we have like a group tutoring whereby like a couple of students, they get together pretty much like Uber pool and hire one tutor and share the cost. So compared to like one-to-one classes, which a student just get a personalized learning experience from a single tutor, students, they pay around like $60 per month for one-to-one tutoring, and they are able to get up to 16 hours of tutoring from a tutor per month. But when it goes to group tutoring, the cost goes down by almost 69%, whereby a student can pay somewhere between up to somewhere between $2.5 to $25 per class per month, which is way lower than doing the one-to-one classes. So I would say our app tried to provide a free version of the app, which is a peer-to-peer. And then we have a group classes, which is like 69% cheaper than a one-to-one tutoring. And all of these learning methods, they're important because while students can get into peer-to-peer, interact with each other, but still maybe some of the concept might not be clear, and then he can join group classes. And if again, the concept is not yet clear, then he can get into a more personalized learning experience where he interact with like a tutor directly. But also at the moment, we're working on a very interesting AI tutor who can also help students to can answer different questions from the tutors, and we're looking forward to launch it soon. And I hope it will also help a lot of students.
Oh, that's quite interesting. I love the idea of splitting costs, so that because tuition is very expensive for one person. So this split cost makes it cheaper for everybody to access. So if it's 5 or 10 of us who are poor, we don't have enough money, we can just combine our tuition fee and we can get all those extra classes. So, okay, I also understood that you also have some other extra features in your app. And can you tell us more about where you say that you can request a tutor on demand on any subject that you want, and you claim that you can have exceptional teachers, and even teachers can have an opportunity to start their own classes, and if you are a teacher, you can just employ yourself. Can you tell us more about these two exceptional features?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, so like we kind of like rethink a lot about how we like restructure the whole education journey in such a way that we empower both student and the teacher at the same time. So the way we have built our app, we have been thinking of it from the first principle and try to mimic the physical school experience and try to make it into a digital space. And like tutors, they are way more empowered by our app than any time before. And what I mean here is tutors right now, they can just take few seconds, maybe a couple of 120 seconds to create their profile in Silabu, where they will provide information like the subject that they want to teach, their subject of interest, their qualifications, their IDs, and then those information will go through our back office and our algorithm, and they will filter all those best tutors, and then the profile will be displayed to students who are looking for best teachers to solve the problems. But at the same time, once you are accepted as a tutor into Silabu, automatically you can create a class, which I often call it a digital school, in few seconds. So suppose you are like an exceptional tutor sitting in Dar es Salaam and you want to teach algebra to students from, let's say, across Africa. So you can just create your class or digital class in Silabu in few seconds, I would say less than a minute, and then your class will be live and students from across Africa can join and pay a small fee. So that means teachers, they can generate some income through that. So you can see that we have made it easy for teachers to start their digital school in just a click of a button. And that's what we are proud of. And we have made it possible for any teacher across the continent to be able to do that. And that will help teachers to grow their income while they are delivering the best educational practice to students.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what about, you talked about a teacher can come in, create their own class and teach whatever subject they want. How do you vet these teachers? How am I sure that when I get into this platform that I will get quality education, and not just quality education, that whatever I will get, it is something that is verified by whichever education authority? How do you vet that quality and also the quality of the teachers?
Oh yeah, thanks a lot. So like for us, like education is very like the quality of what our teacher delivers is like our top priority, and we have really invested a lot of resource in making sure that our teachers deliver the very best educational experience to our students, and we do that by first making sure that we have very rigorous recruitment process whereby tutor they have to apply through our platform and they have to supply a lot of informations like their education background, their IDs, they have to attend the assessment test, they have to supply to us recommendations, and all this information they go through our algorithm, which rank them based on the information that they have provided. Plus, also our back office go through the profile and do an interview to make sure that like these teachers they are really committed and they're able to deliver the quality education. But at the same time, we have tried to restrict the number of subject the teacher can teach. So we kind of like make sure that teachers they only focus on like the most important subject that they are really good at, so that they don't really teach things that they don't really know. And on top of that, we also have a very rigorous feedback process where by student they really give feedback on how teachers they are delivering their content, and that feedback also help us to like keep on reevaluating the experience and the quality of the teachers in the platform. So I would say like we have like invested a lot in that space of making sure that we deliver the quality education experience to students, and we continue like really working hard on that space so that we continue making sure that the students are getting the very quality education through our platform.
Okay. Do you also work with the Ministry of Education?
So at the moment, we don't really work with the Ministry of Education of any country directly, but at least we kind of like follow things like the stipulated curriculum for different subjects. For example, teachers who teach, let's say, maths in our platform, they will teach students based on the stated curriculums and follow those principles, and therefore they won't teach things which is outside the curriculum. And before these teachers start offering classes, they will, for example, allow students to do some sort of a pre-test to check their understanding in a subject matter. And then teachers, they will also kind of like state all the topics and objectives of a class, and all this will be agreed between the student and teacher. And teachers, they will start teaching these topics, and after every topic they will provide we provide some sort of objective test that is generated by the platform, and the student will be checked how far they have understood the topic. And I'll say we have put a lot of measures in place that make sure that teachers they really teach what is in the syllabus, and also we check if students they're making progress along the way by giving them our platform like generated tests that check their understanding in a particular topic. So I would say we have like a rigorous check to make sure that the quality is very high.
This app of yours, what does it cater for? Is it primary school, secondary, university? What does it have a special demographic that it caters for?
Well, so like our tool is a bit more comprehensive, and it's more for a life learning process for our user. So I would say like we put a lot of focus on kids who are learning different academic subjects from primary to high school. And on top of that, we allow students also to learn things beyond like academic subjects, such as extracurricular skills, plus other professional skills like coding and music and swimming. And we go beyond just high school to include people like uni students who want to learn soft skills like how to write their cover letter or how to write their statement of purpose, or how to prepare for an interview, or how to even improve their communication skills. And so I would say we kind of like cater for like kids from age of 4 to 18 for academic and extracurricular subjects, plus people beyond 18, mostly uni students who are learning things like Excel or Python. And on top of that, because we have a peer-to-peer, the university student, they can just use our app to carry on their discussion, to share material with each other, to do live sessions with each other, and more of that.
Okay, so listening to you, I'm getting that this is for mainly for primary and secondary schools, and for soft skills in university. They don't offer that. University curriculum is not offered in your platform. Is that true?
Yeah, sure. So like I'll say, for university, it's more of like a group tutoring and peer-to-peer, and less of one-to-one tutoring, because we often don't expect a lot of one-to-one tutoring for university students. But for high school to primary, they do all peer-to-peer, group tutoring, and one-to-one tutoring.
Looking at the numbers, since you started, you said like you started like 3 years. What has been the response? The response from the market, from teachers, from students, from parents, when you look at your website and people who visit and who use your services? How can you talk about the success and the uptake of your technology? Like how many students, how many teachers, how many classes?
Yeah, so like the market has really responded positively to our solution, because at the moment we have more than 35,000 users who have registered to our platform, with more than 50% of these being students who are using our platform to learn different subjects. And at the same time, we have like almost another half of these who are like tutors and teachers who are into the platform, delivering all these skills to these students. So I would say, despite the challenges like the technology adoption, internet, and lack of devices, we have seen like a very good response from the general public towards using our mobile app, and we expect this number to even grow faster, because at the moment we have partnered with some companies like Vodacom, who provide some sort of cheaper internet bundle for students who are using our tool. And we have also tried to redesign our mobile app to be much easier to use for students and teachers. So we'll expect in a coming months our platform to even grow faster and attract more students and tutors into a platform than even the last couple of years ago.
Wow, that's quite interesting. Looking at the numbers in 3 years, because I'm also looking at the population of Tanzania and just imagining, and then students. Okay, this is not well. You are getting there. You've talked about the challenges. You've talked about internet. You've talked about accessibility and how you are talking to the telecom companies to try and reduce the internet costs, so that at least you have a special package for students so that they can access your material. What other challenges have you incurred in terms of acceptance of people using it and the services that you provide?
Yeah, so I would say for me, like the biggest challenge is really the ability to design a product that is easy to use for students and teachers, because like oftentimes like students, they are usually young people, and if you don't design it, the tool, and make it as easy as possible, it might be harder for them to use it. The same applies to teachers. Oftentimes, there are people who are not that much into technology, and therefore everything that you do, like everything that you design, you have to think it from the very first principle and do a lot of iteration, talking to student and tutor try to see if this particular flow is easy to use for them. So I think that has been one of the area that we have tried to put a lot of time there, and we have find it a bit challenging, but at the same time interesting, because you're always like, okay, this is the flow that myself or part of my team, they find it like very easy to use, but when you go to a student or a tutor, you find it like, oh, this is super hard, or it's very confusing. And therefore our task is really going back to the first principle and try to design it in such a way that it's easy for them to really use it and do the action that we want them to do. So that is one of the tricky one. But the other trick question or like trick challenge has been like the whole pricing, right? Because like we're coming from like a very developing country, and the price is a very sensitive issue, right? And whenever you set a price, everyone will look at you like with like a very strict eyes. And therefore that has been one of the tricky part. How do we provide quality education while at the same time packaging it in prices that they are affordable to students, but at the same time make tutors happy? Because like tutors, they're there to deliver quality education, but also they want to be like happy, like they're making enough money. But at the same time, parents, they want quality education, but sometimes they don't really have like a lot of money. So balancing these two sides of the coin, it's a very trade-off. And so far we've been like trying to manage it well up to the moment. But other challenges are more of like lack of like talents across the area where we operate. The talent to from building the app to distributing the product at the speed that we as a team want has been also one of the challenges that we have been encountering for some time. But so far, I will say we have like a very small and very dedicated team, which they're working so hard to deliver the product at the same time, to keep discovering from the user and iterate the product to give them the best experience that they will continue using our tool.
Since you started, what are some of the notable success of your app? What has it done, and have you won any awards? And what have you learned as somebody who works in that industry and working to tap and maximize on that industry?
Yeah, so for me, the first success is like when we see like students, they came to us with maybe challenges in understanding maths, and then after a couple of months, they are like smiling again. You know, like when we see these kids smiling after they have been able to understand something that was hard before, that for us is the first success that give us a lot of energy and make us like keep going hard on this idea. But again, on the other side, the other success that really makes me happy personally is when we see our tutors making some income from the platform. And even more interesting is when once they share the story of how they're using this money, right? You see like some of these tutors, they use their extra time to teach through the platform, and some of our tutors, they are university students, and they use this money to pay the tuition fee or to pay for their accommodation or to do like things that they couldn't be able to do because of their limited income. So those are the two success that really makes me and the team super excited and keep working on pushing this idea. But on the other side, we have been like we have gotten some awards from different organizations such as African Union. They have given us the award as one of the top 50 edutech solution in Africa. We've been finalist of Commonwealth Youth Award, and we also won like the best award of the best education technology company in Tanzania this year. So yeah, we have gotten a couple of awards in our shelves at the moment. Yeah, and we are looking forward to get even more in the future.
Wow, best education company in Tanzania. And also, you are among 50 edutech winners in Africa.
by African Union. Yeah.
Wow, that's quite interesting. Okay, so when you look at your app, other people who are also providing the same solutions that you provide, how can you rank your app in terms of education and the services it provides in the African continent?
Like how can I rank?
Yes, how do you rank it? Because you also have competitors. So when you look
Sure.
at subscribers and the use of it, so how do you rank yourself as number what in the world? Number what in Africa?
Yeah, sure. So what I would say is like, yeah, well, there are a couple of competitors there, but I would say our approach is a bit like unique from like the fact that we are trying to make education as cheap as possible. But in terms of technology, we have been like thinking from very first principle in how we develop our platform. And I would say like so far in terms of scalability, maybe our app would be number one in that because our app is more like content driven. So like teachers and students, they create the content and they can, and our app can be used anywhere, either it's in Nigeria or Dar es Salaam or Nairobi, without so much of twist in our platform. And that is one of our strengths, like being able to like scalable from day one, right? Which is different from a lot of other apps where like the content is driven by the platform itself and it's so hard to scale. For example, if you have a platform which offer, let's say, math material in Nigeria, then it will be super hard to replicate it in Dar es Salaam because you will have to do that material yourself. But for us, it's teachers themselves and students who provide all these materials themselves into the platform, and that make us one of the like number one, like the app that is easy to scale across the continent. But on top of that is like we focus on active learning, right? Because like naturally people will learn from each other before they talk to teachers or watch some materials out there. And that's why we're encouraging a lot of this peer-to-peer learning and community-driven, which is a group tutoring. And I would say, again, that is one of the uniqueness that other edtech solutions, they don't really have across the continent at the moment.
Wow, that's quite interesting. Okay, Salvatore, talk to other innovators and people who have ideas, people like you who have ideas. You decided to put your idea into practice. Talk to people who are listening to us right now. They have ideas of solving problems, but they don't know what to do, where to start. And also, they think it is very expensive and is almost impossible. What advice would you give them? And also, as you give them this advice, also tell us, how much did it cost you to start that initiative when you started?
Yeah, sure. Usually the start is always hard, but I will say just start because there is no other best way to start. Just start now because I will say there is no time you will be ready to start than just start. So for us, for example, I remember we just started, right? And I always remember that first day we started, we didn't know much of things other than just we knew like, hey, parents, they just want to book tutors through an online platform. We didn't know much of like user interface, user experience, or like costing or pricing things. So we didn't know much, to be honest. And that first day mentality, I like it up to today because most of the time things become clearer over time. So I would say anyone just have to start, and then along the way things will become much clearer along the way. So if you're not worried much about, I don't have this money, I don't have this technology, I don't have this, just start where you are, and over time things will become clear. You will get some experience from the user, you will get support from different investors. But the first thing is just to start, and everything else will become clear over time.
Wow. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, to finish off, you said from 4 years to 18 years and university, people can use your app. Nowadays, there's a lot of internet abuse, online abuse, harassment, exploitation of children, because most of these children who use your app are also minors. Do you have any measure of how do you protect these children to make sure that they are safe when they are accessing your platform?
Okay, thanks a lot for this question. And I think this is one of the hardest question actually, which we like constantly like trying to make sure that we improve the security in our app so that students and tutor they can all be protected. Because, for example, as well, tutors they have to do like one-to-one classes where they have some time to go to students' home to help them, and also they need to be protected because the parent can book a tutor and you go there and something happens, right? So these are the questions that we constantly think of every day to make sure that we kind of like put mechanism in place that protect both the student and teachers from any sort of risk that they may encounter. So for example, we make sure that we do like very thorough due diligence, especially for teachers. So once they sign up in a platform, they provide a lot of background information such as the ID, where they live, their birth of like their age, and things like recommendation from like at least 3 people who knows them. And based on this information, we kind of like establish the history of these teachers, and based on that we can be like assured to some degree that these are reliable people and they can be trusted and be sent or interact with the children. And on top of this, we also ask teachers to provide additional information such as the police report, which show them that they are free from criminal, and they can engage or interact with the students across the country. But also on top of that, we do offer like constant training to teachers about like all these issues around security, how they should keep the relationship with the students so that they don't harm or put them into any sort of risks that may affect the students. And for all the online classes that they take place through the platform, we make sure that we record those classes, and we kind of like make sure that in case of anything, we can notice them through we can easily cross-check those information and spot any sort of misconduct that can take place during the online discussions between students and teachers. And on top of that, we also have some additional security measures. For example, when a tutor is going to a student home, there is always a security code that a tutor will provide to parent to cross-check to ensure that this is exactly the tutor he booked online. And also a tutor should supply his ID, and a parent will confirm like this is the right tutor I booked from the platform. Yeah, so those are some of the measures that are in place at the moment. But again, as I mentioned before, this is one of the hardest problems, and we continue on working on this, try to put all the possible measures that will help protect both students and teachers in the platform. And so far, we haven't really received any sort of abuse or risks that any of our student or tutor has suffered, but we continue like putting all these measures in place to ensure that this trajectory continues in the future.
Maybe it's time you need to go into your feature and put up an extra feature for protecting of these kids. Maybe when they access them, maybe maybe create just a ticket when a teacher is needed, and they can just come and meet the student anonymously, so that they don't know maybe how to follow them home, or they don't have their contacts, just to make sure that that interaction just ends with just the tutoring. And also maybe put up a form or something online where these kids, they should evaluate their tutors every time they come in. And after they get the services, they can say whether they feel there's any misconduct in there, they could report. But if there's no feature like that, then it would be hard for you to monitor. Okay.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
I think that would be a good starting point to make sure you protect these minors against any exploitation and abuse.
Yeah.
As we end this interview, what impact would you want your product to have? I know you've invested a lot of money, you've invested a lot of your time, knowledge, technology, and expertise into this project. And looking at the way the trajectory of the project is going and the success you've received and the challenges you've had and what you've learned from it, what does the future hold for Silabu? Where do you see it going next? And what would you want people to remember Silabu and also remember you for your work and contribution into the education sector?
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot for this very heavy question again. So if you ask me to say how will I see Silabu in next couple of years, what I see is this one central solution that address all major challenges in educations, from like getting very affordable and quality education to how students they are able to, for example, pay the tuition fee, to how, for example, students get to school, and like how, for example, teachers they can be able to generate their exams and get their questions and all this. So I see it as a solution that will become a part and parcel of lives of students and teachers. And about the impact, I'll take you back to our vision, which is to empower every aspiring teacher, student, and school across the world to realize their full education potential. So our goal or our efforts every day is towards making sure that every student, teacher, and school in the continent is empowered to do whatever they want to do. For example, a teacher wants to teach, and therefore our goal or our commitment every day is to make sure that we are developing our infrastructure such a way that we make it easy for teachers to share their knowledge, not just to students within their classroom, but to like millions of students. And they can do this anytime and from their just comfort zone, like without really doing so much of struggle. So it's more of like making sure that teachers they can scale, or they can make sure that their knowledge goes across the continent in few seconds. And that means like if we have the best teacher in Tanzania, we don't have to let him just teach like hundreds of students in Dar es Salaam, but we want this teacher to be able to teach like hundreds of thousands of students who can or who are interested with his or her knowledge. The same applies to students. We want to make sure that they're empowered. They have all the resources that allow them to be able to get the best education from the best teachers and from the other students across the continent without any difficulty. And lastly, for schools, if you remember during COVID, a lot of schools they shut down and they couldn't really deliver their education to students. And what I see now, even in near future, is schools won't have resources to build their own technological infrastructure. And what we're doing is like we are making it easy for these schools to be able to deliver their classes online through Silabu in few seconds. And therefore, as in the future, I see Silabu as a one central tool whereby schools they will also be able to deliver their classes online through our tool. At the moment, we have a couple of schools, but we hope more schools to come on board and be able to establish their digital presence through Silabu. But again, another aspect of the impact, which is a bit more deeper, is from our mission, which is like we just want to create like curious and engaging minds across the continent. And the idea here is we don't want to just teach students, but rather we want to make them curious, like to love learning and be able to wander around the problem that they encounter. For example, we want to make sure that kids who go through Silabu to always keep wondering like, hey, why there is traffic, why power went off, and think of solutions. And we don't want them to think of solutions as themselves, but rather we want them to engage their minds with other people. That's why we are pushing the community, the peer-to-peer, the group classes through our platform, so that students, they can start learning from very early age this power of collaborating, because all the very difficult problems in the world requires the collaborative efforts to solve those problems. So that's why we want to make kids smart, but at the same time, we want them to collaborate with each other so that together they can solve all the pressing problems that face Africa and the world. And that's how I see Silabu in the next few years, to be able to create these people who are curious, and they can say, hey, I'm curious, this is a problem, but I can call my friend that, hey, let's solve this problem together and put Africa and the world ahead. That's what I will see Silabu in the future.
Very impressive, Salvatore. Thank you for your very interesting insights. Creating equal and affordable quality education to all the curious minds in Tanzania and in Africa. And I believe that you will reach your goal of creating the next billion curious minds in Africa, because Africa is the youngest population and it has so many young people. So if people use this education system properly, this app, it will change their lives. I like the uniqueness of Silabu app because it creates and shares knowledge. It gives students easy accessibility to access class at affordable prices, get the best teachers. Gone are the days where only the people with more money can get the best teachers, because you've created a platform which gives an opportunity for teachers to create extra income and also employ themselves, because we've got millions of teachers who are just hanging around, don't know what to do. But this could be a game changer, because they can come and register their classes and start teaching people instead of waiting to be employed. It is also a good opportunity for not only for creating networks and bringing children together through peer-to-peer learning and also group learning, because with what is happening currently in post-COVID, people are used to staying in their own houses and doing their own things. But this will bring together more minds to discuss and share ideas. So this has been a very interesting program. Thank you so much, Salvatore, for your good insights and what Silabu is doing. And we believe that people who have listened to this program, they will look for Silabu app and they will register their kids, and teachers will register their classes so that we can teach the next curious minds in Africa.
Thanks a lot, Razia, for having this conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to talk to you next time.
Thank you very much for coming in. This podcast has been produced through the African Women in News Pitch Zone winners and funded by the African Union, and the contents of this program are the sole responsibility of the producer and do not necessarily reflect the views of African Women in Media and the African Union. Until next time, this is your host, Razia Mwawanga. Thank you for tuning in. Let's create the next generation of billion minds accessing affordable, equal, quality education in Africa. Thank you.